Every weekend I watch grown adults collapse under their own fake confidence. Have you ever watched somebody try to be charismatic? Like actually try? You can just feel the effort sort of dripping off of him. He's standing there and he's talking like he's got swag, but his whole nervous system is screaming, please love me, I'm dying. That's the thing about charisma, right? It's not the words. It ain't the lines he practiced in the lift on the way over. It's the broadcast underneath. And you know, I see it on boot camp all the time. Dude walks up to someone and hits her with the exact line that he heard the instructor say 5 minutes ago. And it's crazy because it's technically perfect, right? The right timing, everything. And she still looks at him like he just farted. You know, not because he said something wrong. He didn't say anything wrong. He said it great. It's because her nervous system felt the truth. This guy's performing for his life. This guy needs this to work. This fellow is not even here with me. He's attempting to escape himself. So that moment, you know, that microsecond where her body's like, nah, something's wrong here. That's the uncanny valley of charisma. In animation and robotics, the uncanny valley is this idea that as something starts looking more human, you feel more comfortable with it. So cartoons, like a person cute, more realistic, feels even better. But right before the line becomes truly real, there's this nasty little dip in the curve where it looks almost human, but not quite. So think like creepy android, a zombie. It's close, but your nervous system is like alarm, this is wrong. That's the uncanny valley. Now take that same curve and slap it on your social life. You can copy the behaviors of somebody confident, but if your cells are not on the same page, people are gonna feel that shit immediately. And I've seen it a billion times. You know, they're like, oh, okay, this guy is saying the things that somebody who's cool, unreactive, living in abundance, who's attracted to me, he's saying the things that that guy would say, but I can tell it's not real. Because instead they're giving off anxious, reactive, living in scarcity, need it to work because it probably usually doesn't. You know, and he thinks he's saying like, yo, I'm chill, I'm that dude. But what he's actually broadcasting is, please save me. Presence doesn't lie. Performance always does. You know, and you watch me talk about this in video after video for like 8 months now, I guess. Shit. You know, you've been learning the pillars, the frames, the philosophy, but now it's time to train the part of you that actually speaks, even when you're silent. Performance is a disease, not the dramatic kind. I'm talking about the tiny, silent collapse that happens inside of you the instant you try to be confident, right? The second you reach for a persona, something in your body just folds. And you can feel it, right? It's very subtle, but once it starts, it doesn't stop. And every time you pretend, your signal fractures just a little bit more. And you know, you say you're acting confident, but what's really happening is your shoulders tense up, you hold your breath, awareness leaves your body, and the whole moment starts feeling like a test. You know that feeling, everybody does, right? That millisecond when you stop being yourself and start being the version of you you think other people want. But that version is fucking dead on arrival. Nobody likes that shit. Nobody. Because every mask that you put on adds latency to your presence. And that lag, that like half-second delay between who you are and who you're pretending to be, that's why your jokes miss. That's why people glaze over when you approach. That's why nobody seems to respond the way that you hope they will. Because you're not in the moment. You're not even fucking there. You're sending a decoy. That little fold in your chest before you talk, that's the mini version of the same collapse that I went through recently. But mine dragged itself across months, right? Different scale, same basic architecture. Same nervous system fail state, where the image falters and the real structure underneath is like, yo, look closer, something's done here. And again, mine happened slowly, right? Back end rot, gaslighting, whole fucking ecosystem collapsing while I tried to patch the cracks with presence, you know? And then one morning, the whole thing just kind of let go. There was no rage, no meltdown, just crystal fucking clarity. The structure was already dead, and the collapse just finally told me the truth. And right in that space, my blueprint for moving forward surfaced, right? It wasn't created, it was revealed in that moment. That's the rhyme that your body is replaying every single time that micro collapse hits you. That tiny buckle is the doorway. It's not a weakness. The exact same mechanism that gave me the blueprint for this whole underground, right? It's the same. It's the same mechanism that's trying to give you back your signal. My collapse cleared the ground for this doctrine. Your collapse clears the ground for your presence. And the world's collapse rolling in from the edges, well, shit, that's just the pressure making all this unavoidable now. But once you feel that pattern and feel that split, there's no going back. You'll see it all the time. Every little tremor, every little time you tried to get a reaction, every time your persona stepped in because your presence wasn't strong enough to carry the moment. You'll see that all the time. And that's when it hits. You don't have a charisma problem. You have a fucking performance addiction. And the antidote is not more confidence or tricks. The antidote is freedom. The same freedom collapse gave me. When I say freedom, I'm not talking about some fucking Pinterest version of it, right? Live, laugh, love. Nah, dude, I'm talking about the kind that drags you through the fucking mud first. The kind that only shows up after something in your life finally gives up pretending it's alive. When that old ecosystem that I was in, when that dropped off me, it felt like someone cracked open this fog machine I'd been living in for years. Like, I always knew what needed to be done to build my channel, right? Like, I knew the structure, I knew how the whole shit could scale, but I just couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't. Something was stopping me. It was like, again, it was like I was in a fog. And then the collapse finished its work. And suddenly, I'm clocking 17-hour days like it's fucking nothing. Light work. In the office at 9, out at 2 a.m. Next day, do it again. No hesitation. No mental resistance. I wake up, let's run it. Right? Ideas firing like I swallowed fucking lightning. The whole system kicking into turbo when that weight finally fell off. That's the freedom that collapse gives you. Not the motivational kind, the kind that turns work into this kind of like weird, joyful violence you swing at the world. And your body's begging for that same freedom. It's not a mindset. It's the moment the fake shit burns off and the real finally gets oxygen, right? The deletion of the fake so the signal can finally come through clean. Most people think charisma is something that you add to who you are. You know, improve your voice, your posture, whatever. But if your foundation fucking sucks, it doesn't matter how many layers you stack. You're just building a heavier mask on top of a collapsing floor. It doesn't come from what you add. It comes from what you can hold. And you only hold what your nervous system can handle. This is where the doctrine comes in. Not as theory, but it's just physics. You know, presence over persona isn't just a cute slogan, it's a fucking survival imperative. Persona is brittle. Persona depends on people reacting the way you want. Presence doesn't give a fuck. Presence is the part of you that can stay alive while everything else shakes. It's the part of you that survived your own collapse. It doesn't need permission. It's the part of you you've been trying to imitate instead of embody. It's the zero latency moment, okay? No auditioning. Please love me, please let me fuck off. Just you, the room, and the truth that you carry in your body. But most people have no idea what their presence actually feels like because they've been living the persona for so long, they've started to mistake the mask for the actual face beneath it. That's why they fall apart so fast. It's like, boom, immediate collapse. And the collapse is always the same. Your body says no, while your mouth tries to say, I'm fine. That mismatch is the uncanny valley of charisma. And the moment you see that is the moment that you understand why everything that you've tried up until now has not worked. Presence is not something you think about, okay? It's something you must train. That's when the signal comes alive. And when that happens, you know, everything outside of you starts to respond differently. Because people aren't reacting to your lines anymore. They're reacting to your state. Conversations stop feeling like negotiations. People stop reading you and start syncing up to your vibe. Silence stops feeling scary. Your presence starts carrying weight. Women start leaning in instead of leaning away. Men start treating you like somebody who knows something they don't. It's subtle, and then it's not. In dating, people don't like your vibe, they fucking entrain to it. In sales, you stop trying to convince people and start transmitting a signal that says, I'm already centered. You can relax now. People call that charisma, but it's just, honestly, it's just nervous system coherence. Once your signal stabilizes, you stop winning interactions and you start authoring them. Reality stops being something that happens to you and starts being something that organizes around you. There's before the signal and after, and those two lives are very, very different. The thing is, you've never trained the part of you that actually lives your life. You've been training the persona. But your actual nervous system, the core broadcast underneath everything, literally everything you fucking do, that's been running wild, like uncoached. And what I learned the hard way is the collapse you feel is not a flaw. It is a summons. It's your body telling the truth before your mind's ready to hear it. That's what it is. It's the doorway to presence. And I mean presence is a trained behavior, a skill, something you can reproduce consistently. And look, I did not set out to build a fucking program. I didn't. I did not want another course. I literally was not looking for that. But after everything that I went through, after everything that burned down and everything that surfaced in the silence afterward, something new just kind of formed. A structure, a place for that inner collapse to finish its work and for the real signal to be built from the ground up. A training cell, if you will. A hidden room where presence stops being a theory and starts becoming the baseline of your nervous system. That's the Void Underground. One part philosophy, one part field lab. Real missions, real nervous system work, real pressure, real calibration, real actual fucking change. And look, this ain't for everybody. It's not supposed to be. If you want to whine in the comments, good. Get the fuck out of here. You do not sign up for something like this. You recognize it. You feel it. And if you're still here, you already know whether it's calling you or not. The door is open now. If it's time for you, walk through. Most people, they spend their whole lives running from that collapse inside of them. They keep talking, performing, piling confidence on top of fear. Like maybe the act can outrun the truth. But you felt that. You watched it flash through you in moments that you don't even want to remember. That little surge of neediness. That instant where the mask slips and something underneath you whispers for help. That's the collapse. But I'm here to tell you, the collapse is not the end. It is the beginning. Something breaks, so something buried can finally step forward. Something you abandoned in like a quiet, knowing sorrow. Something that never had a chance to breathe because you kept performing this identity it wasn't compatible with. Like now you know why the lines fall flat and the confidence never sticks, because your nervous system has been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to stop lying with your mouth and start speaking with your presence. And if anything in like what I just said hit you a little too hard, if it stirred something that maybe you haven't looked at inside of yourself in a long time, that's the signal. The collapse is already happening. You just needed somebody to name it so you could finally step through it. That's what the Void Underground is built for. Not inspiration, initiation. And listen, there's much more to this than what's shifting inside of you. Something out there is cracking too. Something that you can feel even if you can't articulate it yet. And we will get to that. But for now, just handle the collapse inside of you. Walk through the door. Train the signal. I'll see you inside.